Are we there?
We are.
I've got 712 on mine. Is there anybody in the queue for Zoom?
No.
With nobody in the queue for Zoom, would anybody object to starting the meeting a couple minutes early?
Get closer to the mic.
Hearing no objection, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let's start with introduction of board members and first-time guests. My name is Greg Hall. I am president of LICA, at least tonight. To my right, Vice President Alan Crum. Secretary Connie Berry cannot be with us tonight, taking meeting minutes in Connie's place, and hopefully to be later is Lee Mosley. Also missing tonight is Victoria Souze, who came down very sick today. Treasurer with us tonight, Danielle Walters. Good to have Danielle on board. At large, Bill Daly, are you out there online? Nope, no Bill Daly available. Do we have a quorum? Gail Lawrence is here. And Mary is here. So I've got one.
And Carol is on Zoom.
Carol is on Zoom. We have a quorum. That's what I needed to make sure of. Are there any new or first-time guests on our Zoom side? I note none in the room. Anybody raise your hand or say hello? I see none.
If you're a new Zoom person, raise your hand. Nope.
No,
Okay.
no new Zoomers. Great. So we'll move on to approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed for tonight. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Seconded, moved and seconded. Is there any
No sound.
discussion?
No
Any
sound.
changes?
Well,
No sound.
no sound.
No sound?
Uh-oh.
No sound?
Thanks, Paul.
We can hear.
Okay.
Paul, is
I
that-
can hear you too.
Paul, got to be on your end.
Paul,
Check your
to be
speakers,
sure
Paul.
your speakers are turned on up.
Can't hear us. Can't hear us.
Can you text him?
Yeah. Paul,
Okay, great.
hang in there. Just keep going.
I got a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, motion carries by acclamation. Let's move on to approval of the general meeting.
Alan,
minutes.
no sound.
We still hear you, Paul, but you still don't hear us, but everybody else does.
I'm calling you.
I just love being informal.
Yeah.
Let's go to the approval of general meeting minutes of January 25th, 2022. They have been published both online and are available. If there are any questions, we will entertain it. Are there any changes, additions, or corrections?
Yeah, I'll do that. Let me put this phone next to the speaker so you can hear, okay?
Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the general meeting minutes of January 25th, 2022, 2023. My bad. Nobody corrected my agenda on that. Not one of you. I missed that one. Could have. I will entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes. I have a motion. Do I have a second? And a second. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries by acclamation. Let's move on to President's comments. I am sincerely sorry and saddened that I couldn't be here for the potluck tonight. I got a piece of cake that Jesse Powell made, and if you're on Zoom, you missed out. Sorry. Now, unfortunately, my wife took a bad spill, got some serious health issues. I've developed a sincere appreciation for home health caregivers. It's been an interesting challenge. I'm here briefly tonight, Zoom gone. So I promised everyone I would keep the meeting tonight light, lively, and quick. But I promised that last month. So let's go to a couple different things I want to discuss as president's comments, and that is LICA. This is our annual meeting. And I like to review who and what LICA is. LICA really is a community association filled with volunteers to help improve our community. We are in a very simple business. We are in the business of communication with islanders, keeping you up to date, up to speed on what's going on the island, helping to coordinate a variety of the issues, helping to keep things on our island going. It is those volunteers that is what LICA is truly all about. It is those who have stepped up to the plate, those who mow lawns, those who show up here on an odd Wednesday to fold tomes, those who work on blood drives, those who work on spring cleanup. That's who LICA is. It's everyone on this island, those that are willing to step up and make a difference for islanders. So I want to recognize our volunteers. I want to recognize those specifically that mow the lawn on over at the park. Those that take the extra time to come out of their houses coming up. Spring is coming. I firmly believe it, although you wouldn't know it by tonight's weather. We're going to have spring cleanup. I already saw 2 people on the roadway picking up trash on their own. Nice couple. I asked them what they were trying to do, cut into our action. It's like, yeah. Wow. But then the great one comes to those who really volunteer the most amount of time, energy, and that's our board members. We are losing 3 board members tonight. Connie Berry will no longer be with us. She is leaving the board. She is also seriously looking at the potential of leaving the island. They already bought a place up in Birch Bay or Blaine. Yeah, somewhere up there. So we lose not only a board member, we lose a contributing member to our community. Somewhere down the line, somebody's going to have to fill in for Meals on Wheels. She's coordinated that for several years as well. We lose Gail Lawrence tonight. Gail has been a great contribution to us. She's helped us both in marketing areas and with the cleanup several different times. Coordinated that, by the way, for the very first times, strictly online. During COVID, when everybody said it'll never get done, it got done because Gail saw to it. The other one we're losing tonight is Victoria Suzanne. Victoria's done a variety of things on the board as well. We're going to miss all 3 of you. I want to recognize that. I wish there was more I could do to recognize it, but we don't have the budget. We'll get to, yeah, I'll double your salary, not a problem. Last night, doubled it. But the greatest volunteers are those who really dedicate themselves and become board members. They step up to the plate. It takes a lot. It takes extra effort, takes extra energy to coordinate, to balance it, to make it work, to communicate it. So I want to thank my board members. That's what I have for president's comments. Now, as to reports, we're going to do one, because the most important one that we're going to do is a treasurer's report, and then I'll get into more of it in detail in a little while. So let's start with Danielle.
Had a good chance. I forgot my glasses, but we had $3,000 in donations, and thanks to Jesse, we have a lot coming in already for all the tome advertising. We have $5,305 in checking, $13,882 in savings, and $2,500 in reserves.
The treasurer's report does not require approval, but are there any questions of the treasurer at this time? Hearing none, we had a good January. That's good to hear. Let's move on to old business. Now, this is old business because it's already done deal. February blood drive. I want to again go back on out, personally thank Mary Ross and Jesse Powell who coordinated on off and filled every single one of those slots. Boom, another successful blood drive. That's 2 in a row. It's absolutely incredible. It takes that extra effort, takes that extra energy. Yes, Jesse did go above and beyond and picked up the phone and called every single one of our advertisers. And yes, got commitments for every one of those and more. And we have some discussions as a board on which direction we want to take next there. So let's move on next. New business, like a budget. And let's talk about a budget in the first place. It is a guideline. It is a roadmap. It is not hard cast in stone sort of thing, but there are some guiding principles. So let me pull up mine. And if you would screen share, that would be lovely. So everybody out in Zoom land can take a look at the budget. But this is a guideline. This is what we're hoping to achieve all the way across this year. There are some problems. We're short. We're short. To get everything we want to do, it's going to be tight just to get through. On donations, we've had some very large donations. We've had some marvelous donations and contributions, but it comes back to this. Is the donations for what started as a subscription once, donation now, the tome. The tome has gone on up to where it's rapidly climbing toward $1 per issue. In the last 2 years, we've seen a 222% increase in the cost, and it keeps going up. We were fortunate this last month, this copy was the same as our January one. So we got a moment of stability, but every indicator I'm looking at is the price of paper, cost of printing is going up. Postage went up as well. Not a whole lot, but it went up. Those are the costs that drive things. So let's take a quick look at the budget. We have fixed overhead issues that we have to be able to tend to. We have to have in our cost and rental for here on the Grange. We have to have insurances. We have to have in consideration the tone. What's it going to cost us? How are we going to do it? And that's a variable that we can't predict hard, but we've tried to say, okay, this is what we hope we're going to be at. We get to look at, I'm down here in expenses, business expense area. Our total facilities expense, then we get into grants, and we're going to hopefully give grants tonight. But next year's grants may be in question. Grants are always one of those nice to do good things when we have excess, but we have to have excess. What we need are people donating for the tome. Comes to everybody's house. Everybody on the island gets it for free. I know several people said, oh, hey, I'll give you the $6. Well, you're at almost $10 now just to produce it. It's going to go up. We need help. We need the community to step on up. That means board members, that means volunteers, that means others to get the word out. Because LICA and our ability to communicate hinges on our ability to pay for that communication. We get on down to things like the AED fund, the automatic electronic defibrillators. Okay, good cake, Jesse. Long time ago, some people personally funded the AEDs. They're here on island, the fire hall, the Grange library, I think. And we have a fund specifically for managing and replacing batteries as they are required. They have a life cycle for those AEDs. Eventually, they'll have to be replaced again. But when they raised all these funds, the one thing was they didn't have an organization to manage the funds. Oh, Leica's a 501c3 nonprofit, so yeah, sure, we'll do it. We've been holding the funds and we disperse the funds for batteries. So when you see things like that, not everything is a Leica project. It's, we stepped up and said, yeah, we'll manage the funds for you if they had no other way to do it. Yeah, we got two different kinds of insurance, our business insurance, basic liability and the likes, and directors and officers. If we as a board ever really mess up or do something really off the wall, we need to be insured for it like most any other organization. So we have insurance expenses. This year, we have some things that are on in there that are unique. Marketing expenses, advertising, marketing. Most of you have been to the website. You've seen the website. If you're on Zoom, you had to go into the website to get the link. The website has been hosted since it began by our vice president. Leica is not paid for it. Leica needs to pick up the bill and needs to own that storage capacity, that server end. That's just a necessity. It's been a great gift as long as it's been, but that's a liability that we need to own. Along with that, we were the first here on island to start doing hybrid meetings, here in person, online. Most of the equipment we have has been cobbled together from a variety of different sources. Our vice president, once again, one of those who is funded and brought in his own personal equipment so that we have the capacity to do that. We had a lot of demand by other organizations. We'd like to create a basic suitcase, if you will, plug and play Zoom equipment so that meetings on island, not just for Leica, but for others, can be done plug and play. It's just a simple thing. Years ago, a good friend, Bob Bush, couldn't come to church anymore. When Bob couldn't come to church, he was stuck at home. I had a strange idea. I said, if Bob can't make it to the church, let's take church to Bob. The Grange, up there above the exit door, you may notice, has a web type router and Wi-Fi on in here. Island Chapel decided to fund that, and we funded it for the Grange and for Leica and for anybody else who holds meetings here to use. When we look at what we want to do with Zoom and hybrid meetings, it's the same, only Leica doing it. We want to create the conditions that are good for the overall population. That's what we're here for. So although it's a fairly stiff expense in some ways, right now it's nice to have. We'll have to take a good hard look at it as we look at our budget. We get a little farther on down, we get into office expenses for computers, supplies. I wish it was inexpensive anymore, but it isn't. You've all been to the grocery store. You've all been out shopping. You see what's happening. It's not going away. It's not going to get better overnight. Prices are increasing. Then this year we have the directory. This is a directory year. Now, hopefully we'll generate some good income for advertising on in there, but at the same time, there's upfront costs that are going to hit us. So when you look at our overall budget, if you get down to the bottom line there, we're $3,466.63 short of what we would like to project. This is a guideline. The board is going to have to make some tough decisions this year. We're going to have to raise some more funds. We may have fundraisers, we may have activities, we may come up with unique things. By the way, if you have not picked up your wine bag made by Jesse Powell, I suggest you do, because he makes incredible ones. And what most people don't realize is he gives those profits to Leica. That's a pretty cool thing. So maybe we need to look at what other things can we do? What can we sell? What can we do? What can we manufacture? How can we encourage others to be active and involved? That's our budget. It isn't perfect. It isn't rosy. That's our guideline. That's what we hope to achieve as a board. So the board's going to have to make tough decisions. If we don't have the money, we're not going to spend money. We're not going to spend money that we don't see the bottom line end of. And there are other projects we need. One of the greatest ones we need is we need storage. Paul, bless his heart, for 41 years, kept Leica at his home. But now it's all on over at Alan and Lee's home and a variety of other places, and stacked and stored. And we need storage space. Now, we've had some opening discussions with the Grange of storing another Connex type facility here on the property, and they're amenable to it. And we're in early discussions of going that way. We'd like it to be more office style than just Connex style, because we have other functions we need to be able to do, and we need storage. So that's in discussion. But again, how are we going to do that? Well, we're already 3,500 plus in the hole. We got to raise more money. We will. Now, the Grange, is that the best opportunity? Well, if somebody on out there has property with power that's willing to put on up help us put on up a storage place, an office type inn, small enough, doesn't have to be big, that'd be great. We love those kinds of things for people to donate. We'll see. Some of the documents, some of the things we have to be environmentally controlled. Simply because of the documents themselves, we can't afford to have them degrade. We got a lot of history through Leica. Leica started the archives. Paul Davis became the archivist, is still our archivist. Leica is the one that controls the archives and where it goes. So somewhere down the road, we may have to look at relocating from the library currently to somewhere else. Where do we store all that? These are questions that we have to answer. These are questions the board's going to have to face and come up with reasonable solutions. Do we have to go off island for storage? A rental place? Maybe. How do we budget that? I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out. That's our budget. Based on that, based on the fact that it's dynamic, based on the fact that it's going to be changing as prices increase and it's going to be fluctuating. And I will ask you as members to have faith, trust in the board, as I do, that we manage these funds in an appropriate manner. And I would ask for a motion and approval of the 2023 budget.
Motion that we approve the budget.
So I have a motion.
I made a motion that we approve the budget.
Have a motion, seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
We're listening.
Oh, thank you. Do you have a method for prioritizing, or how are you going to prioritize what does not get funded if it comes short?
The priorities, first and foremost, will always be our ability to communicate with the general public. So the tome will wind up with number one priority in the website as well. Those are just key components of who and what we are and how we're able to communicate with what's going on the island. Issues that will probably look secondary at will be both marketing and the audiovisual PA expense. We'll look at some of the ways to be able to cut back maybe on some of our other computer expenses and the likes. This is an area the board's going to have to look at and seriously consider where are our hard cut spots. But our priorities are and will be, I believe rightfully so, our ability to communicate with the general populace. Does
Okay,
that
thank-
answer your question?
Oh, kind of. Sorry, I should have said this. This is Debbie Barnes, Josiah. Are you going to ask for input? I mean, at a meeting, would you say, okay, this is what we're looking at?
We are always open for input,
Okay.
particularly of the cash kind.
I actually meant the verbal kind, but cash is good too.
But yes, our board meetings are always open as well, but as we go through and our next board meeting, we will be going through line by line, digit by digit. What can we do? What can't we do? What do we need to do to raise more funds?
Debbie, do you have a comment or a question or a suggestion?
No suggestions. I was just curious as to the process. I mean, they're tough decisions, and I'm just wondering how you were going to tackle them. Not the answers, just the process.
Very carefully, one step at a time. I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? Yes. Mike.
I
Hi,
asked for
Mike.
it. As I understand it, I believe the printing tome prices were the largest risk on the budget. Is that, are most of the other costs assumed to be close to what we're projecting? Because that one's way out there, right? We just
Yes.
have no clue.
Yes,
Okay, I just wanted to understand that.
yes. Any more questions? Is there anybody opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries by acclamation. Let's move on to grants for the association's approval, 2023 grants. I haven't got the list in front of me. I've got a tome with me. There are a bunch in the back. See, if you'd been here, you'd have had a copy. And a piece of that cake, because Jesse really doesn't want to take it all home. Right. These are also on the website for everybody who doesn't have a direct copy. But let's go through the grants one at a time. Whatcom County Cemetery District metal detector. This is a unique one. We said, well, gee, there are a lot of us that have metal detectors. We'll loan you one. Problem is when they have it, when they need it, they've got to do it to be able to identify a specific corner and a specific thing at a specific time now. And that got to be problematic because people did try to loan them some, but yeah, I'll get it to you next Thursday. Well, I need it Tuesday. Well, I can't do that. So they have asked us for $175 for a metal detector. We recommend as a board that you approve that. Parish Health Ministry. Yeah, if most of you don't know, up at the fire hall is a Connex storage that has environmental controls on it. They are charged electricity for that, $300 a year. I had some conversation recently with folks who were in the know on this, and is that the real cost? And it's like, nah, it's probably higher than that, but that's what they're getting billed. $300 a year for electricity to keep that going is a reasonable price and one that we have supported in the past. So we recommend your support there as well. Parish Health Ministry. This is an important one. This is a key one. And that is they need to be able to have car and driver pedestrian punch cards to be able to take people off and on the island. I happen to know one former board member who happens to be on Zoom, who happened to be a recipient of that when a particular accident occurred in a lawn mowing incident. So this is one that we have supported many times, many years in the past, and one again I would recommend, and the board recommends your approval of. Meals on Wheels. During COVID, this was huge. Meals on Wheels program here on the island was on up, I want to say 32, somewhere along in there. Unfortunately, Connie isn't with us tonight to give me the hard numbers, but typically we're running close to 20, 25 people a month. Some months it drops on down when weather's good, when things are all right. When illness comes around, a lot of people can't get out, can't go do the shopping. And Meals on Wheels is that bridge gap that keeps people from being hungry. So again, we as an organization, LICA is a key sponsor to Meals on Wheels. This is one of our key programs. Again, we recommend your approval. Lummi Island Foundation for Education, Life. Life came to us with 2 grants this year, wonderful grants. Ones that we used to have and haven't had for a while. One of them is Beach Elementary and Lummi Nation School Music, where in the summer months we have a music project where several people each and every week give extra consideration for the kids, give them musical instruction, help them with a variety of other different things, and keep things going in education that doesn't exist anymore in the school. Music program got cut. The other one is a theater camp. And the theater camp is another one that we find great for kids. Gives them a variety of dynamics, speaking in public. You know, the second fear, greatest fear humans have besides death is speaking in public. This gives them that opportunity. It makes a major leap in their self-esteem and a variety of other things. So again, the board and myself are strong supporters of these grants. I will now ask for a motion to approve 2023 grants as published. I have a motion and a second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion.
This is
there
Debbie
any-
again.
I'm sorry.
This is Debbie again.
Hi, Debbie again. I'm Greg Hall.
Hi, Greg. Still nice to meet you. Just a simple question, no hidden agenda behind it. Are the ones that you read all the requests that you got and or are they the ones that you prioritized?
They're the ones we prioritize. There were several other grants we could not, within the limits of what we had, be able to fund. As a matter of fact, these push the envelope. You know, there are other things and places we can still cut within the budget, but there were others that we could not fund. Some that we technically could not fund because they were from organizations we are prohibited from funding. Some from organizations that we're going to try and take on internally for name plaques on over at the cemetery for veterans. That's one that Leica is going to try to do internally. We're going to work that one on out. That's another non-budgeted item that we've got to figure out, well, where are we going to do this and how are we going to do it? There were half a dozen, I think, others that did not meet the basic qualifications and within the budget area that we had. So the board had great discussion over all of these. And they are all vetted, and we did publish, I think at one time, all of the grants that were requested, or no, I think they may be in many meeting minutes. But these are the ones that have been vetted by the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the bad thing is there just wasn't the money for everything. We'd like to be able to do more. We would love to. Grants from LICA are a perk when we have the funds to be able to do so. No guarantees that we're going to be able to do so. So again, it comes back to the income and being able to do things here on the island. Any other questions? Any opposition? Motion carries by acclamation. This is the fun one. Board of Directors vote. And our board of directors, we've got some absolutely stellar characters on in here this year. Every one of them vetted, and the process that each one of them had to go through to be selected to be a candidate. And there were 20 some candidates, 25 that were asked. And of the 25 that were asked, and then those that were vetted, it came on down to 3 to fill vacancies that we have. I myself am up for re-election. Feel free not to say, gee, I could use a day off. Carol McKinney, who is out there in Florida.
Yeah.
In Florida, in the middle of the night, you're going up on 11 o'clock at night right now. Carol McKinney, Carol has done so much, put together our potlucks, put together our food things, put together our cleanups, Carol is an indispensable member of the board. Joining us this year as well, Bill Sager, who brings on in a variety of technical expertise duly needed on our website, and a variety of other aspects. Bill also is an artist in his own right, photographer and the likes. You may know him from the 60th anniversary print he and his wife put together. Jesse Powell. Oh, gosh, ever since I met Jesse, it's like I hear Jesse, I hear Jesse, I hear Jesse. Wow. Every time I turn around, where's Jesse? We put in short notice, we put in the Leica Dropbox. I had somebody lined on up that kept telling me, oh yeah, they were going to show up with their auger. They were going to show up with their auger. Never did. And we had to get the Dropbox on in so that we could start getting things for both the tome and otherwise. And it's like, we need a Dropbox. Jesse showed up with his auger. That was about the first time, we really started doing stuff and seeing stuff. And then oh yeah, hey, we got the wine bags. I'm here to tell you, those are great wine bags. I'm here to tell you. Turn around. Hey, we need somebody to be able to help with blood drive. Oh, here's Jesse. Oh, we need somebody to be able to get a hold of all of the people that are on out here for advertising. Oh, here's Jesse. Every time I turn around, here's Jesse, and I love it. These are the kind of folks that I love to have coming on the board. And then we get on down to Lee Mosley. Lee, I didn't print the list. Lee Mosley comes to us with, he's got more stellar experience than I have on boards and all kinds of nonprofits and other organizations and the likes. And Lee and I have worked some on the aviation committee as well. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to bring someone along like Lee, have him part of this team because he contributes a great deal. I write a variety of different things, articles and the likes, and Lee usually winds up correcting them with Alan. Like, okay, fine. I let others do the wordsmithing and hammer on it so it looks pretty. It comes out a whole lot better product for me. Makes me look good. Those are the things I like. But Lee brings a lot with him. Lee hopefully is going to be, as long as you guys decide to vote, Lee is hopefully going to be our new secretary, which we will have an election of officers immediately following tonight's meeting. But the first thing I must ask is, are there any other nominees from the floor or on out in Zoom for a board position?
This is Debbie once again. I'm confused, and I'm sorry that I probably should have read something on this. I thought you started off saying there were 20 some people, and I missed how you went from 20 to 3. And again, nothing about anybody. I'm just trying to understand process.
There were 25 people who were asked to be on the board. Of the 25, that was whittled on down, and the nominating committee then did extensive vetting of each one of the candidates, selected the 3 candidates that we have presented along with myself, and they didn't vet me. It's like, oh, well. And Carol McKinney, who is a longtime board member as well. So do you want to answer more of that?
for that. We asked, we compiled a list of 25 people of prospects to ask to see if they were interested to be on the board. That whittled down real quick. A lot of it, no, a lot of it had to do with people who were at a point in time in their life where they didn't have the basic time. They wanted to be on the board, but they just didn't have the time. So that whittled it down real quick. Then of the people that were left, we looked for specific talents that we need. And that a good board normally does that. Fill the seats with people that have the talents that you need to make a very successful and active board. And that whittled it down a little bit more because we talked to the people about some of the things that can be done. And then we whittled it down to the last three and explained to them what they were in for. And well, no, I do need to explain. Danielle, who was our new treasurer, was appointed. She's not in this, and she didn't get the whole picture, but she's doing marvelous, doing marvelous. And anyway, so the rest of it came down to trying to fill in people on what is involved with it. And them saying twice, we asked, like, do you want to be nominated?
Really?
Yeah. And then we asked again.
Are you
We
sure?
asked again. So, yeah. So it was a very involved process this year because we're trying to make a board that's very dynamic and able to handle the challenges that we have going forward and make life better for LICA and for the community.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Back to my question. Are there any other nominees from the floor or from Zoom? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve the 2023 Board of Directors election slate of candidates as posted. Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Is there any objection? Motion carries by acclamation. Congratulations. You are now slaves to LICA. Please remember, slaves can only be sold. They can't be traded. No, I really appreciate it.
I'm sorry, that was not funny.
We have, without a doubt, the most committed, dedicated, dynamic board that I've had the pleasure of working with, and this is going to be an exciting year. We will come up with some solutions that I think are going to be really fun. So at this time, I'm going to open it on up for public comment. Are there any comments from the public? I got a hand on up out there.
Yes, as a former board member, I just want to thank you all. It's, as you mentioned earlier, it's a matter of people volunteering their time and energy, and it's extremely important to this community. And I thank you all very much.
And we thank you for your prior commitment. It makes a difference. Now, people remember me come Veterans Day. They remember me come those kind of holidays because I'm a vet. But somewhere along the line, we need a LICA Veterans Day because it's a commitment. It's just the same. So thank you very much. Any other comments? Hearing no other public comments, the date of our next board meeting is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. It is held in the Hanson Room, beginning at just after 7 p.m. They like to make sure that it's closed on up in the library before we start making noise, and we tend to. Next general meeting will be Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023, here at the Grange. It will again be hybrid. Yes, ma'am. Comment?
I would like to say that our general meeting next month will have a very interesting, great program. And it will be a welcome to Lummi Island for all you newbies out there that haven't been on the island very long. We're going to kind of have a welcome wagon presentation and just a chance for people to learn about what all the acronyms mean and what about some of the organizations on the island. So it should be great. So we would really like you people who are veterans out there of Lummi Island for a while to try to really encourage a lot of the new folks that have come here since 2020 and to come and just learn a little bit more about LICA, learn about the other organizations on the island. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's great to have a program going again, because without a program, you don't have to listen to me as much either. Now comes the fun part. We made a commitment this year that instead of having a drawing where we never really knew where we were, we're going to have a drawing every single meeting for $25. We committed $300 of our budget. It's on out there. That's probably in the negative side already, but we still have money in the bank. Danielle's still smiling at me. She isn't throwing anything yet. So now we get to have our drawing for $25 if you are a participant online, or if you are here in person, you can win. And every time you show up for one of these meetings, you can win. Doesn't mean you can only win once. Means this month, next month, the month after, doesn't matter. You could win the $25 each time, you know, gee, 10 meetings in a year. Eight meetings in a year, whatever. Yeah. Let's see. Here's the number. Want to know the winner? Yes. It's Greg. Who? Well, and here's what Greg's going to do. Greg's going to put that $25 right back on into the pot. Hey. Donated to LICA. Why? Because LICA needs it more than Greg does. With that, if anybody else doesn't have anything else, and I promised it was going to be an early meeting, unless there is something else, any announcements, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Bye.
8 o'clock.